everyone, how you doing today? My name's Kirsty, aka Beth Bookish, and it is that time of year again where I go through my book bracket and crown my book of the year for 2024. This is my second or third year doing the book bracket in this format. I used to be on camera talking about it, but I've decided I quite like this and I will pop up graphics of all of the books. As you can see on the left, I've got my months written down. I do them in a random order, but when I go through them now, I will go through them in month order and write them in. It makes it a little bit more fun because then you pair up random months, so you get random favourites and things like that. I have my phone right here. I have my sheets with my core pile. I will caveat this, I'm only looking at my novels, I'm not looking at my manga, but here is my core pile for 2024. All of my books are on here with their ratings, and I'm just going to go through each month, pick out some of my favourites from that month, and then from those pick out which one was book of the month for me. So for January, kickstarting the year, we have immediately got my very first read of the year, which was Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. There's also Strong Female Character by Fern Brady and Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. All three of these were great. Conventionally Yours, I really liked the romance, but I have read better. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, that was my introduction to sort of translated cozy fiction, and I absolutely loved it. And it did make me cry, and it was 5 stars. However, Strong Female Character by Fern Brady, this is an autobiography about being late diagnosed with autism and talking about her experiences. Not only did I see a lot of myself reflected in this book, but it also helped me come to terms and realise my own autism. And so I feel for that experience alone, that one has to be my pick for January. In February, we had only one book that I would even highlight as being a favourite, and that is A Song for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers, which is a dystopian, cozy sci-fi. In March, we had the end of my Raven Cycle reading. So Blue Lily Lily Blue was my favourite in the series. I just loved all of the characters. I felt this had the best writing, the best pacing, the best atmosphere of all of the books, and it was by far my favourite in the series. And we also have no others that I feel were as good or could be compared with that, so that means that March is Blue Lily. I apologise for my writing, it's not the best today. Moving swiftly on into April, and this is where things are going to start getting difficult for me because we have Prince's Gambit and King's Rising, which are the final 2 books in the Captive Prince trilogy. If I had to choose between the 2, it would be the final. I forgot how to breathe in the final chapter. We also have This Poison Heart by Callum Bayram, which ended up being far better than I was expecting it to. And we also have the first book in the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey, which again was incredible and was kind of like a first book for me in sort of thriller crime that I had enjoyed in a very, very long time. But of the 3, I think I'm gonna have to go with King's Rising because it finished a series, it cemented C.S. Pacat as one of my favourite authors, and it was just, in my opinion, a flawless book and a fantastic end to that fantasy series. So yeah, it's got to be that one. In May, I have 2 5 stars. We had Heartless by Elsie Silver and Fake Dates and Mooncakes, but honestly, there is no contest in that. It goes to Fake Dates and Mooncakes because that just was so, so good. It had food, it had fake dating, it had a wholesome romance, it had cultural references, it basically had everything I love, and it had a dog. So yeah, that one wins. Mid-year point, June, we have Role Playing by Kathy Yardley, which is now one of my all-time favourite romances. We have Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, that has now unlocked my atmospheric, gothic, haunted house kind of vibe. That just absolutely drew me in. I loved it. Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire was fantastic. as was Days at the Morisaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagasawa. This one's quite difficult. I'm gonna go with role-playing because, like I said, not only did I love the romance, I also learnt some LGBT stuff, like about demisexuality, and it helped me realise that I fall more into that branch. It had references to video games that I used to play or similar types of games, and yeah, just I loved it. It was so good. July, I only finished one book, so that one has to go through automatically, and that is The Holiday Escape by Heidi Swain. I did give it 4 or 4.5 stars. I do love Heidi Swain's writing, and I love how she writes communities, so I'm not mad about that, to be honest. August, we then have, I'm not including rereads, otherwise the Sunbearer Trials would absolutely have been in there, but we have Legends and Lattes and The Honey Witch. I really did love both, but I think even though I rated The Honey Witch higher than Legends and Lattes, I think Legends and Lattes is going through to this round. It just left me with those super cozy, wholesome vibes, and it's the one that stayed with me and the one that I think about more often. For September, we have 2 books that I gave very high ratings. We've got All Systems Red by Martha Wells, book 1 in the Murderbot series, and we have Celestial Monsters by Aidan Thomas, which is the second book in the Sunbearer Trials. As much as I loved reading a new genre and I loved Murderbot's voice, there is no way that Celestial Monsters can't take this one, considering how much I love the writing. I loved all of the rep. I loved Naya. She's like my spirit animal now. And the humour was just on point. Moving on into October, and we have Little Thieves by Margaret Owen, which was my only 5-star for the month, and The Dark Becomes Her by Judy I. Lin. I really loved the vibes in The Dark Becomes Her, and I really loved all of the dynamics between the characters. However, Little Thieves, for like a YA fantasy, it was absolute perfection. It had amazing characters. The pace, while sometimes was a little off, was great. The world building was immaculate. Everything was just so good with it, and the audiobook was incredible. So I can't not give that one to Little Thieves. November was another one. I only read one book, so Sorcery and Small Magics. Thankfully, I don't mind because it was a 5-star and I absolutely loved everything about it. And then December again is really difficult for me because I've got Gallant by V.E. Schwab, so one of my favourite authors, against a completely unexpected 5-star in the Sex Wizards book 1 Initiation by Alethea Faust, and also another unexpected almost 5-star for a Peter Pan retelling, which was Peter Darling by Austin Chant. So this one's quite difficult. I think going purely by gut instinct, it's got to go to Sex Wizards because it took me nearly half a year to read this book, purely because it was so damn good. I had to keep putting it down to breathe. It completely blew me by surprise. I did not expect to love it as much as I did. And yeah, I think it's got to be that one. Okay, so we've figured out what books are our books of the month. Now it's time to figure out between these. Oh my god, it's the first round. Okay, so Psalm for the Wild Built versus King's Rising. For this round, I'm going to be quite quick fire, and I'm just going to go with, as soon as I say the books, which one immediately does my brain go to, and that'll be the winner. We can go more deep into the analysis in the next round. A Psalm for the Wild Built versus King's Rising. King's Rising is what my gut is saying, so we are cementing that in. The Holiday Escape, Little Thieves. Little Thieves, no contest whatsoever. It was so good. Legends and Lattes, strong female character, which is unexpected considering I rarely read non-fiction. Celestial Monsters, Fake Dates and Mooncakes. I love Fake Dates and Mooncakes. I've raved about it all year, but Celestial Monsters was just, yeah. Blue Lily, Lily Blue, or role-playing. I'm going to go with role-playing, partly so I've got a mixture of genres in here, but also it has had the bigger lasting impression, despite Blue Lily, Lily Blue being my favourite in the Raven Cycle series. And then finally, Initiation of Sorcery with Small Magics. This one hurts. I want both to go through. I genuinely, when I finished Sorcery with Small Magics, I was like, this is my book of the year. However, Jonah, you are going to be like, what the hell? Initiation is going to be the winner of this round. Okay, now the round where it's going to get way more difficult, and the first one is making me like actually go crazy. We have King's Rising versus Little Thieves. So this is where I'm going to go into a more in-depth analysis and say why I love these books and try and find something to make me not choose it. King's Rising, I really loved the romance in this. I loved how their dynamic changed throughout the series and that this all came to a head. The politics and the war side of things kept me engaged. I'm definitely learning that I really love dialogue and humour in my books. Like, it's got to be sort of my kind of humour, and this had it. If I had any kind of issue with this book, it would be that it was too short. Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. This one, as I've said, it had impeccable world building. I loved the setting, the characters were fantastic, the humour was on point, the audio was great. I really loved the little moments, and I loved how these characters were flawed and that she wasn't afraid to make you dislike them. Like Vanya, there were multiple points I did not like her as a character, but I still thought she was a fantastic character. I think I've just talked myself into it. I'm so sorry, Captive Prince. Oh my god. But I did kind of, when I got to the end of Little Thieves, I did kind of say, I think I may have found one of my books of the year, and I stand by it. Okay, Strong Female Character and Celestial Monsters. Two extraordinarily different books, and both had meaning for me in different ways. Strong Female Character, as I've already said, felt very personal. It helped me to understand autism a little bit better. It helped me to realise that I am autistic. It was reassuring to hear someone having similar experiences to the things that I've experienced. It was a very well written, very insightful book. Celestial Monsters was insightful in that it helped me to understand a little bit more about gender expression, and it helped me to understand, so if I, like even with my own partner, it helped me to understand more about what it's like to be non-binary. Also just had a fantastic storyline. If I had to critique it, I would say that I felt some characters that were introduced felt a little unnecessary, and I would have rather had more time with the characters that were already established than these new ones. But that's about all I can really say about it, and I had a fantastic time. I was laughing pretty much the whole way through, and as always, Aidan Thomas made me cry. So I think I'm gonna go with Celestial Monsters. And then finally, role-playing versus initiation. Role-playing, I really loved the romance. I loved the premise where she thought he was a young man, like in his early 20s. He thought she was an old lady in her 80s, and they're both actually around the 50 mark. So there was a lot of amusement there watching them sort of not realise the other, but that didn't drag on for too long. And then the friendship that developed initially was just so beautiful, and it was a really gentle progression into the relationship. And it had talks of loneliness and heartbreak and demisexuality and things like that, and feeling different, and I loved all of those different conversations. With Initiation, it's a completely different vibe. This is a book about a guy who has sex with a wizard who tells him that he has magical abilities and that he should join the Wizard's Guild kind of thing. So he does, and we learn about the schools of magic through his journey, where each of these magic schools is based off of a type of kink. So, for example, Evocation, which is the school of magic of big fiery things and, you know, damage spells and spells that are meant to be flashbangy and cause damage. The school of that is in pain play, and the more pain you can endure while casting, the stronger that spell's gonna be. And it was so fantastically written. So with that in mind, as much as I loved role-playing, I can't not really put Sex Wizards forward. Final round, Little Thieves and Celestial Monsters. My gut is saying Little Thieves. I just felt the characters were slightly more rounded, and overall the book just gave me slightly more than Celestial Monsters did. And then Celestial Monsters and Initiation, this one is really hard because really difficult. I want to say Initiation because of the impact, but I'm also aware that I only read that a few days ago, like finished it, so that's still very fresh. And then there's also like Celestial Monsters did have some immaculate vibes. I read it in sort of a day. It is Aidan Thomas, so you know, in previous years Aidan Thomas has been in my top 2 at least once, if not twice, for my book of the year. But did I feel it was the perfect sequel as opposed to Initiation being the perfect first book? If I go by that, I'm gonna go with Initiation. I am as shocked as all of you. I cannot spell. Oh my god. Okay. Initiation. What happens when you try to spell while writing? But that means we're now at our grand finale. Little Thieves by Margaret Owen versus Initiation by Alethea Faust. And I can't use my previous logic because both were first books. I'm going to go through the core pile system here and do a comparison. Characters. Definitely Little Thieves wins because we got to know the characters a lot more. Like Sex Wizards, even though we've got a very big cast of characters and there's a lot of representation, there's not as many characters and we don't really get to know them as people and like their needs and their wants and what drives them. Whereas Little Thieves, we do get backstories for everyone. We get really in-depth understanding of who they are and what their motivations are. So Little Thieves gets it for characters. Atmosphere, I have got to give it to Initiation because of just how well the smut was written, and every single page I felt I was a part of things and I felt like I was there and I was really drawn into this book. I laughed when I needed to, I swooned when I needed to. Little Thieves did have some good snort-worthy moments. It definitely had some really good chemistry and the atmosphere was there, but I definitely just feel Initiation just slightly gets it. For writing, I'm giving it to Little Thieves because it definitely had amazing writing. I've got a quote from it where it's like, that's a lot of awfully big no-no words for a man of the gods. That was just so funny and so well done. And yeah, I just felt like the writing itself and the dialogue was just slightly better in Little Thieves. Plot, again, I'm going to give it to Little Thieves because yes, Initiation does have a really good plot, but it also did feel kind of formulaic in a way, whereas Little Thieves, I never knew what was happening. Even when I thought I knew what was going to come up next, it wouldn't. People's motivations kept throwing me for a loop and I was just constantly finding myself surprised. So I'm going to give it for that. Intrigue, I'm going to give to Little Thieves. Anytime I stopped playing the audiobook, I immediately wanted to press play again. I just didn't want to stop. It was so good. I've just realised that means with that, I do have my winner, but I'm going to still continue. So for logic, it would have gone to Initiation because of just the whole theory and the different schools and the way that it was all planned out and the way that the system works in this and the magic. It was just so unique and so interesting. I couldn't not give it that. And overall enjoyment, I would have given again to Initiation because again, it was one of those where I just had such a fun time. But that does mean that I have decided, and Little Thieves by Margaret Owen will be entering the Hall of Fame as my 2024 book of the year, because of its incredible characters, a plot that kept me guessing and kept taking me for a turn, immaculate world building, fantastic writing that I managed to pull a quote from for my quotes page, and an audiobook that was extremely well performed, and it was just one of the best first books in a YA series I've ever read. So congratulations to Little Thieves. You are my book of the year. Round of applause to everyone. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments, do you have a book of the year for 2024? If so, what is it? Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you continue to watch into 2025. In the meantime, I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe. Please don't forget to check out my Patreon and my Etsy. Both are linked below, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.